YouTube. See you over here. Bye. Oop. There we go. See, this is what it's like, people. The glamour. All right, there we go. Now I have to adjust this so I can actually read the chat and whatnot. Uh-huh. Good stuff here. There we go. All righty. And now I get to, there we go. Hi, Natalie. And it's so fun too, because what I've noticed is, oops, wrong one, is howdy from the kitchen sink. It's the razzle dazzle wrap up of everything, including the kitchen sink. Coffee and chaos, coffee and calm, and McDugg's and Laura V. I love how people have different monikers sometimes. Hanukkah and Santa Monica. See, Katie is awesome sauce. Right. Long time no see. I was just on TikTok. Yeah. I freaking love you guys. The people who leap, who are confident in switching the channel, you guys know where it's at. You do. There we go. Here we are on the flip side. And this side is just as much fun as the other one. Okay. Now, here's the thing I want to ask you all. Okay. I've said this recently before, but I will share it with you. One of the things I notice is that when we are doing a live on YouTube, there's a slightly different vibe. Now, it's not a bad vibe. Penny Myers is Penny Lou Magoo. I kind of don't know if I knew that, but it's cool. I'm every woman, as you are too. So I share this with you. I tend to enjoy the TikTok lives because the pace that we engage with, that there's some back and forth, okay? That there's some back and forth. It's not just me droning on in front of you. I don't like that. I like some participation, okay? So let's make an effort today and in every one of these YouTubes to be participatory, okay? I am here to help you. I'm not here to listen to myself talk. If you think about it, I listen to myself talk up here 24/7, 365. I like to disrupt me talking to myself, and I want to help you with what's up here and what's in here. Okay. So some of you may be puttering and decluttering. Okay. What does that mean? Well, first of all, I guess there's enough people here. My name is Beth. I'm a decluttering life coach. My coaching is called Destination Decluttered. And I'm here on YouTube for the next hour or so. All right. Some people may be puttering and decluttering. So Farm Girl is definitely puttering and decluttering while I listen. Good. How about this? This would make me feel better too, if you want to make me feel better. If you are puttering and decluttering while you're listening to this live, put it in the comments and let me know where in your home, what room you're puttering in, and what area are you decluttering. Now, the reason I say what room and what area is because it's a chunking down, but also because when we were on TikTok, Laura GV was saying how it made her feel better to putter and declutter in a slightly smaller space. Okay. Now, at least I know that you are doing something while I'm there keeping you company. All right. And it also gives me some topics to talk about. Like, for example, Natalie is saying, I've been puttering since 5:30 a.m., getting ready for a trip on Friday. Okay, so notice decluttering and getting ready for a trip on Friday. I might be able to help with that. That one persona is decluttering in the bedroom, sorting through clothes and doom piles. Okay, so clothing and doom piles. Alrighty, I love it. Farm Girl is in the kitchen going through old food. I love it. See, that's another thing we can talk about. There we go. Puttering and decluttering the backpack from the summer. Yeah, working in the office today. So notice all these places in your home where you can putter and declutter and do it. Yeah, and I love it. Listening to all the good ideas and writing down ideas for when I get home. Now, you just speak in my language when you're saying writing down the ideas. So thank you for doing the writing down. Yeah, so notice Farm Girl. Notice this is really important, and I'm just kind of going chronologically in the comments. Farm Girl is saying it is so helpful to listen to you while I'm doing this boring task. So notice, the way I'm talking and the way I'm doing things is making things feel less boring. So I say that to you, first of all, that I'm happy to do that. But second of all, how can you make things less boring for you when I am not around? Let's say I had no TikTok lives for a month and somehow none of the videos were available. What would help you make things less boring so you wouldn't be like, whoops, destination decluttered stuff's not around. I can't do it. Now, I know I bring a certain levity and playfulness, but helpfulness and love coursing through whatever I do. So maybe that's something that you could work on yourself. Okay. So while, yes, I want to be here to help you, I am also wanting to raise a generation of people who can also create this motivation in themselves, to notice how it feels when you hear different words and different ways in which words are said that make you feel different. Because when you feel differently, you do differently. Okay. Now, Angela is saying, I'm puttering and getting ready to start painting the stairwell walls. Have been decluttering with you for over the last year. Awesome. And through an entire first floor renovation, putting the house back together. Rock on. Yay. So notice everybody here is in a different room of their house. There we go. Melissa is saying, thank you for keeping me company. So notice that feeling not alone can be helpful. I'm not alone doing this. I get people. That's one of the reasons we do the declutter parties. So when people want to focus on something, and it can be beneficial to start to tune into what you're hearing and feeling in your own body, that it's not just me also trying to entertain people and inform people around you and feeling like you're not alone. That's why I do the declutter parties. Okay. The first hour cleaning a very holiday blitzed kitchen. Yeah. 'Tis the season, right? Now we are heading out to the garden, and Melissa, I'm jealous. I'm jealous because it's freaking cold here in PA. So the fact that you can go out to the garden is awesome. There we go. Natalie's saying, as I've been going through clothing, shoes, and toiletries, I've decluttered so much. And notice this. Okay, notice where my hands are going right now. Okay, feeling just right. I've gone through clothing, shoes, and toiletries, and as I go through it, I am making decisions about what I keep and what I let go of. But I never want you to feel like what you're doing is getting you into a feeling of lack, of not having enough. So pace yourself when you're doing this and make sure it's not making you feel that way. And if it is, slow down what you're doing, examine what you're doing. And when you feel ready, AKA safe, as opposed to afraid, to do something, it will be easier for you to do it. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's more fun. Yeah. There we go. Listening to my favorite music. And here's another thing too. Podcasts work for me. Angela says, listen to a podcast. Yep. Yep. I love it. Kathy says, hey, everyone at work, but making a list. Checking it twice. Love it. A list of tasks that I would like to work on when I take some days off at the end of the week. Now, I love a list of tasks. Do not get me wrong, okay, Kathy? But what I will want to just remind all of us, and your comment is just a good reason to do so, make sure, everybody here, make sure that the tasks you want done, those are actions that lead to a certain outcome, that those outcomes are aligned with your destination. If your tasks get you closer to where you want to go to, they're good ones. Okay. But what I will say is if they don't, question why you're doing them. Okay. Now, Patty M, no fun. We'll be working on living room, trying to put back together washable rug, pulled up and washed over the couch. Now and the map cleaned because life happens and so does throw up, right, kitties? Cat getting sick hairball. Living room looks like a war zone. Not extra energy for this. Okay, so notice your feeling. Notice that your gas tank thing is kind of more towards empty, I guess. Where would empty be? I guess empty would be over here. Notice that. I don't have extra energy for it. But what are some little things you could do in that room? Notice little things to make it look less like a war zone. So notice I don't have an extra energy, but I have some energy. And I don't like it looking like a war zone. So what are some little things I could do to make it slightly less war zoney. Notice the chunking down we're doing. Now I'm skipping over the first 3 sections. Basically, we touched on making sure you feel good physically, noticing your energy is a little bit on the wane. So how could I bump up my energy or use what I have efficiently? But you don't want to get, again, you don't want to get into lack. You don't want an empty gas tank. So plan what you do, the actions you take. Here's a good formula. Prior to determining what you're going to do in any given day or any given chunk of time, always consult your physical energy and your external time. What can I do with the energy that I have and not get to empty? What can I do with the energy I have and still have at least a quarter to a half a tank of gas? And what time do I have to do it in? Always factor those things in and plan accordingly. And if it means you get a chunk done as opposed to the entire process, a chunk is better than none. Okay. Okay, this is interesting. Notice how the phrase war zone is coming up, right? So social karma is saying, I decluttered my living room yesterday by putting away the Christmas decorations box, awesome, and a bunch of stuff laying around, and it gave me so much pleasure. So let's hang out there, even before we go to the office, which is a war zone. Let's hang out in the pleasurable way in which a decluttered living room feels. Let's hang out there. Everybody. Now, I'm in this room of my house. You're in your house. You're in different rooms. But if we all just paused a moment and pretended, we used our imagination and we closed our eyes, and you imagine yourself in a decluttered living room. And to me, I'm picturing it right now. I could probably look through these with my X-ray specs. The sun is shining through that. It's glittering off of our tinsel tree. There's no dust on the floor. The box from the Christmas balls is now back down the basement. All of the surfaces are empty. Things have been vacuumed. The pillows have been fluffed. There's nothing on a surface that reminds me I need to do something. Even if there's things I need to do in that room, temporarily they're tucked in a drawer. So when I decide to do it, even notice you're not in that room. It may not look like that, but you close your eyes and you imagine yourself in it. I bet your body feels different right now. I know mine does. Notice I am talking slower, softer. I can feel almost like a tingling sense through my body. I can feel a smile on my face, imagining myself in that pleasurable, decluttered living room. That feeling is energy that will give you energy to then go into the office, because that's the feeling you want in your office too. Social karma, right? We want that feeling. That feeling, whatever it is, it kind of can be sometimes hard to describe, but you know it when you feel it. I want what she's having, right? I want that feeling more. And I love that I can do it in my bed. I can do it in my bedroom, Freudian slip. I know that I can create that feeling because I just did it. I just created that feeling in that living room. That means social karma, that proof of you being able to create that reality in your living room will give you the courage and the motivation and the energy and the oomph, ideally, to create the same thing in your office. Even if it looks right now, and this is where we do the declutter, even if it looks right now like a complete war zone, you don't want that. You want destination office. Doesn't look like a war zone. Feels pleasurable like the living room. Okay? Now you know what you're aiming for. And it's not only just visual. Visual definitely has a part in it, because our visual stuff causes us to feel things. That's why they show us pictures of sad puppies and kids when they want us to donate money. We are visual creatures and we respond energetically and emotionally to things we see. Why should it be any different in your house? Okay. Notice what you can do to get that way and feeling better about what you do. Now, I love this. I love this. Patty M, who is feeling like, again, a war zone, a person using that term war zone. Fold the rug up off the couch, put it aside, and have my husband put it down later. Yeah. Notice when I said lower the bar, what's something small you can do with the energy you have? You came, your co pilot, your person in you, the voice inside of you of yes, we can do it, said, how about this? It came up. Yeah. Put large puzzle. Notice once you start tuning into the radio station and you says, what can I do? And you're turning down the fear of I don't have enough energy and yada, yada. Let's just do some little things. I can fold the rug. All of a sudden, verb, that's what's happening. Verbs get in, and verbs mean action. Fold the rug. Tell hubby to put it down later. Put large puzzle board off of couch behind couch since it's not going under the coffee table. Those two things, even if you stopped right there, Patty, and you can, you would feel better than you currently do about those places. And I hope that those things that you just did, yeah, it will look so much better. And then notice this. We were talking about, because I did my cataract surgery, and Steve Austin, the dynamic, I was going to say the dynamic duo in the Bionic Man. Okay. So I'm the Bionic Woman. I'm Lindsay, whatever her name was. Okay. My eye goes out. It will look so much better. So my eye creates a path between my eye and brain to whatever I'm looking at. Now, when that comes back to me, it just doesn't go back up here. It also diverts down to my heart, how I feel. When things look better, and better is your definition of better. When it looks better, I feel better. And who the hell doesn't want to feel better? And even if you're feeling good, when it looks good, I maintain my better feeling. And who the hell doesn't want to maintain a feeling of better? So notice that connection. There is a direct connection between how things look and how you feel. So let's use that insight, okay, to make you feel better by making things look better, but not just on the surface. I am not a surface person. Yes, surfaces, but also what is underneath the surface is going to be storage. Think about it. In your kitchen, you have a surface, which is a counter, and then you have storage, which is probably some cabinets underneath. Okay? We do not just deal with the surface and ignore the things in storage, both physically in our homes and then also within ourselves. We are not afraid to go one layer deeper and say, what have I stored up? Is that helping me feel good, or is it helping me feel worse? And if it's something that doesn't make me feel good that I've stored in those cupboards, let me get rid of it. Let me donate it. So, because it will not make somebody else might feel psyched to get these mugs from my cupboard. I don't need all those mugs. I look at them and I go, ugh, it's such a pain to put these all away. There's no room. I don't even like that one. It's chipped. That one always gets too hot in the microwave. That one I can't even fit my hands around. So notice, we do not stay on the surface here. We work on the surface because doing any kind of project, right? Any kind of project benefits from having a clear surface to do that project. And for us, the project will be cleaning and practicing maintaining those surfaces so that we can go that layer deeper and open up the storage and just get curious about what we have stored up both in our kitchen cabinets, in our closets, in our bedrooms, in our attics, in our basements, and in our heart. What am I storing in here that if I'm brave enough to just open up and see what's in there, I can declutter. I can keep the good stuff and I can jettison. I can let go. I can distance myself, fade out the bad stuff. so that I feel better moving through this life that challenges me every day to not lose my shit. How's that sound? Now notice that one persona, I obviously, boop, I touched a sore point because that one persona goes, ugh, another mug. Trust me, my husband came home from his tour. He has another mug, and I'm like, do we need another mug? Obviously, he wanted another mug. Yeah. Now, see, isn't this so cool? This is so cool, Patty M. I love that you are bringing us along on your journey because we can see, and if it was time stamped, and who knows, when this is recorded and put up into Destination Decluttered on the YouTube channel, right? We can see where you went from overwhelm. I'm scrolling back here to kind of like almost timestamp it. Where does it say? Scrolling, though my ass is swollen. Okay, at some point, there we go. Patty M said, we'll be working on the living room, trying to put it back together. Now you're not just trying, you're doing. Yep. Cat, sick, hairball, ugh. I don't have extra energy for this. And now notice, once we calmed that down and we chunked things down, you notice, you can see things. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone, right? Now that I've calmed down and I've gotten out of that ugh feeling, and I've just been like, all right, wait a minute. You're noticing, you know what? Because how the rug is over the couch and things on the couch and out of place, I was creating, it's all messed up. Notice you don't like the phrase, and the look of all messed up doesn't make you feel good. But then she says, but wait a minute. Notice this crucial traffic cop hand here. Wait a minute. It's really not. And I see that now where I couldn't see it just a few minutes ago. I stopped and I noticed it's really not. It's really just those two things. Notice what she did. She got out of overwhelm and drama. We all go there, right? But noticing it and being in drama doesn't help you. But when you can shift gears and slow down and calm down and feel a little bit better into neutral, when you're in neutral, you can see the difference between when I was being dramatic and it was all messed up. And actually, I'm looking at the same thing, but now I feel better. And I notice it's only two things, you know? Yeah. Oh, there we go. All right. That one persona, you know me. I love a good rhyme. Ugh, another mug. Yeah. And my husband is a mug connoisseur. Yeah. My husband still likes to get mugs sometimes. I better quiet down. He's talking. He knows. We have different feelings about the quantity and quality of mugs we have in the house, but at least we have kind of a Venn diagram where we overlap for the most part. I believe it's called, what is that thing? Cooperation? I don't know, but it's making our lives more doable. I don't want to win the mug fight and lose my husband because it's not that important to me, but I do also not want to just have it overrun. So speaking up for what I want and speaking up for what he wants and finding that, kind of middle ground where we both feel okay about it gives us peace and feeling good in the house. So notice that it is really helpful to recognize when you're kind of overwhelmed and reactive. And we sometimes don't even know we've done this until we're in it, and yeah, that one persona, household peace, because there's a lot of non-peace outside of our houses. And sometimes we let it infiltrate, but TV and radio and internet and all that. We need peace. And so how can we create peace in our hearts and in our homes? And then when we learn how to do that, notice this, as I like to call it, the positive ripple effect. When you learn how to get yourself out of that overwhelm or that, it was a word I was thinking of, but it's not coming to me, so I'll use another one. And saying, okay, let me calm down. And then saying, what do I want? And then how can I get there? And it's a choose your own adventure. And the way we adventure here is we do not fly over all the stuff and just pitch everything. And we drive. Or somebody in the last one, I think it was in TikTok, somebody was a cruiser. So we're on a boat. We're on a boat going from island to island to island. But I think a car is still more because you need to go through, you can avoid certain islands if you're on a boat. But if you're driving from Pennsylvania to Palm Springs, there are certain places that the road goes through. But there are many different roads you can take. You can take the direct route, or you can take the scenic route, or as my husband likes to say, the square route. Yeah. But notice what the goal is. If your destination is household peace, make sure that what you're doing is creating that. Now, this is really funny because a flurry of text, a flurry of comments just came in. And for anybody who maybe just joined, my name is Beth. I'm a decluttering life coach, and my coaching is called Destination Decluttered here on YouTube, on TikTok, on the internet, destinationdecluttered.com. All right. Laura GV says, kitchen looks and feels good. See, I love that you're also checking off that box. Okay, it looks good, but how does, and this is interesting because I do this all the time. It feels good. No, how do I feel? Because I'm the feeling thing. I'm the sentient being here. My cupboards, I mean, I kind of pretend they have personalities because God knows those poor cupboards have been opened and closed so much more in the past years since we started working from home, but I digress. How do I feel when I'm in the kitchen? The kitchen looks good and I feel good. Going to sit here and enjoy it a sec before I continue. Besides, Daniel is demanding pets. Now I say to you, enjoy it for more than a second. This is really interesting to me. Is I get it that we have something else to go into, but the whole reason we drove to destination kitchen looking and feeling better is to hang out there for a while, right? That's a good thing about kitties. Sometimes they force you to sit down and say, no, hang out here. Hang out and enjoy the sunshine. Don't be so ready to go off to a next place and start working. I know it's the Protestant work ethic, but I'm not Protestant. So let's not work so hard. Let's hang out and enjoy the kitchen, shall we? Heather MC. Yo, Heather MC in the house. Beth, what are some good questions to ask yourself about when you're trying to get curious about something that's overwhelming you? All right. I love that. I'm just skipping over a few things. There's an update from TikTok. Emptied a holiday shirt container. So now I have somewhere to place consignment and donate things. Rock on. And McDoug's, no, I have not seen the little free coffee mug boxes. I love that. Very cool and successful movement. What a great idea. The hive mind. So Heather MC is asking, what are some good questions to ask yourself about when you're trying to get curious about something that's overwhelming you? All right. So I'm going to put myself in when I've been feeling overwhelmed. Okay. So I immediately came up with something this weekend that caused me a feeling of, like throw up, like notice how my body just went, and I'm not even doing like modern jazz dance. I'm like, my stomach went blurk. I went like this. I went to go protect myself. What I would start with, Heather, is I would create my environment to that I can really sit and spend some time with myself to think. Because what you may find, this is where I'm just going to go to the deep end. I would create a safe environment where you're not going to be disturbed, where you have some time, where you're not going to be distracted. And I would sit down with my notebook and I would write down, I would fold my paper in half, and I would say on the left hand, I would say overwhelm. And then I would just go there. I'd say, what am I afraid of? Or I guess I would say, what am I overwhelmed by? And notice this. I can say, what am I overwhelmed by, in a fraction of the time that it takes me to write it down. Now, I'm trying to scribble here, but I say to you, when you go through this process, the only reason I am kind of rushing so that my stuff is messy is because I'm live on camera. When you do this yourself, write down these things in complete and legible sentences. Okay? Now, I say that because slowing down and writing down things in slowly and legibly will also provide a calming shifting of gears effect to do kind of, I guess they call it the inner work or whatever in the life coaching. What am I overwhelmed by? Now, I'll just walk you through this process kind of in hindsight, but in a real life episode. I am overwhelmed by 2 pieces of mail that we got over the weekend. I opened up an envelope and read something and went, "Oh, what the hell is this?" Okay, so it was the mail. What is it making me afraid of? And I will share this. I would write down, I'm afraid I did something wrong and I didn't mean to. It'd be one thing if I meant to do something wrong and, oh, you caught me. I'm afraid I did something wrong and I'm going to get in trouble. Okay. I am afraid that I will have to pay money for something and that I'm afraid we don't have the money. And I'm afraid even if we have the money, once we pay that money, we won't have money before. And I'm afraid that if we have no money, that we have no money to spend for the house, and then I have no food and dead, and then I'm dead. Now, of course, I jokingly kind of ran through that, but the fear of death, it's going to be there. We are all humans. It's one of the one things we have in common. All right. So I would say, name the thing you're overwhelmed by. So when we're overwhelmed, we tend to just look at the shadow this thing is casting and it's big. But if you turn around and you look at it, you're like, oh, that's what I'm overwhelmed by. 2 envelopes. Okay, noted. Now I know what I'm afraid of. But what can I do to shift that? So what I did this weekend was I chunked it down, said, what can I do about this? I can find out more information. Is this a piece of spam that came in my email in my mail, or is it legit? So I can, over the weekend, Google to see if this is a scam or if it's coming from a legitimate place. I can more closely examine. I can get out of overwhelm. Do you ever notice this when you get like spam emails and stuff like that? There are totally visual clues that can indicate whether something is scammy or not. So I would more closely look at those papers. Does this look like it came from the state of Pennsylvania or not? Looks pretty legit. Okay. Can I Google these things? Yes. So I can do that over the weekend. And, all right, another thing I can do is I can do what I know how to do, but I am not an expert. I can reach out to an expert about this situation on Monday morning. I can email our insurance guy and share with him that we got this stuff. This is what it says. And I literally said, I could probably quote it to you. Let me see if I can find it. There he is. I didn't say I'm afraid of, but basically, I started. My fear is what I started writing, and then I said, no, hold on. He doesn't need it. I said our concerns are, and I noticed what I was afraid of, that our current situation is changing, and we messed up, and now we're in trouble, and we don't know what that means. Like, what's the longer term effect, or that this is something that somebody tried to use our info to, like, sign up for something. Okay. So I sat down with myself and I quieted down and I wrote down what I was afraid of. And then the neat thing is then I said from that place, not up here, I don't know what to do, freaking out. Shh. Then I said, okay, knowing that, what's a little thing I can do right now to make myself feel better? And I can make a plan and I write down the plan. And the plan has 2 verbs in it. One was research online. Well, actually 3. 1, look more closely at this. 2, research online to see if legit. 3, email the guy. Well, I will share with you, I did just those things. It felt better going through the rest of the weekend because I had a plan. Anytime I thought of those, notice the power of the imagination to make you feel good when we're hanging out in somebody's nice decluttered living room, but also thinking of those envelopes immediately. Notice my hand went like this. It was like, eek, getting into overwhelm, fear. Right. But then being able to calm down your fear because you have made a plan and you're going to do it. And then you do the plan. And then you know what you do? You send the email and you get back to him and he's like, that's totally no big deal. That's not even a thing. You don't have anything to worry about. Does that help, Heather MC? So I will say this, there can be many kind of external surfacey things that can feel overwhelming, but it really gets down to a lot of kind of common fears and fears of something bad happening that might affect your life and that it will do something bad to your life. So don't be afraid to ask yourself, like a little kid, what are you afraid of? Little kid who's all freaking out, what are you afraid of? I'm afraid you love her more than you love my sister more than you love me. I'm afraid that you're going to leave me and I'm going to be alone. And alone means it's scary. I'm afraid that I'm going to run out of money. I'm afraid, like a lot of them are some really core, deep things. Do not be afraid to go under the surface because that's where the things are happening. Okay? I hope that helps. I hope that helps. Okay, good. Helps a lot. Yeah. And I had to coach myself through this throughout the week, but I will share this with you too. This is why writing down and making a plan is so important. Writing down a plan makes it more real. Writing down a plan, and even before every one of those verbs, notice how my body is like, tell them to write a little checkbox next to it so you can check off, I did this, I did this, I did this. You can have a plan in your head, but it helps to also write it down so that anytime your mind thinks of those envelopes and just by habit goes, oh shit, then you say, wait a minute, we have a plan and it's written down and we're going to do it. And I already did these first two things myself. And we're going to reach out to the guy on Monday when he's in his office. Being able to get yourself out of the, I would say automatic, the knee jerk, the, what do you call that? When you kick your leg, they hit your patella and it goes like this, your reaction. I can't remember what it's called, but that knee jerk reaction, I guess. It's an involuntary muscular thing that gets you into fear because when you fear something, then you can make a plan to protect yourself. That may happen throughout the thing, but you can immediately more easily calm yourself down if you have a plan. Yeah. Automatic nervous system response, that's kind of fancy. I'm thinking more like, when they go to the doctor, I love it. Farm Girl's like, you are way better than the reflex. See, I should have known. It's a fucking Duran Duran song, right? The reflex, flex, 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 right? Thank you. Yeah, it's a reflex. Thank you, you guys. See, this is why we're such a great community because you know what it's like to think of a word and not be able to think of the word, but then you help me with the word. So thank you. Yeah. So notice, here's a cool thing though. Patty M says, we always seem to go to the worst case scenario first. Well, the good news is, yeah, and see, Laura, neither of us knew the reflex. The reflex is a lonely child waiting in the park. The reflex is in charge of finding treasures in the dark. Looking over Luck and Clover. I don't know. I totally would mush mouth that if I was singing it on doing karaoke. Okay. It's okay to go to the worst case scenario. Actually, it wasn't Heather MC. There was somebody I was working with. I think it was Christine, that it really helped her to say, what is not just what's the worst could happen. We dramatized it. What is the absolute worst thing that could happen here? Be dramatic. What is the absolute worst thing here that could happen? And then write it down because then you immediately know what you're really afraid of. I'm afraid that the living room is going to look like this forever. I'm afraid that I am going to have to do this work and I'm going to be running around on fumes. I'm going to be exhausted by the time I'm done with this. Cannot hurt to go through the worst case scenario because then anything in between it, then you know what you're aiming, then you know what you're calming yourself down from. I'm afraid that it's always going to look this way and I'm going to feel awful for the rest of my life and it's going to suck. I'm afraid that I'm going to have to do this and I'm going to run out of gas and then I'll have no energy ever in my life again. Notice the drama queen shows up and man, is she ready to go faint on the fainting couch like the Edward Gorey thing at the beginning of Mystery. Yes, I'm a PBS subscriber. So it's okay. Get in the habit of going to the worst case scenario. Because anything less than that, then you can walk yourself back from the ledge. Go to the ledge. Don't fall over. And then say, is that what I'm afraid of? Okay. Is that really going to happen? Yeah. See, Patty M says, yep, those are my two worst fears. Now you know. Okay, if that's what I'm afraid of, what can I do to make sure that doesn't happen? Well, and notice what you did. You chunked it down. I will only do a little bit, therefore keeping my energy, therefore not running out of gas and seizing up my engine and dying. What can I do? I can also have somebody else participate in this project so I don't have to do it by myself. And notice, we can take your worst fears and use them to help you. If you don't know what you're afraid of, if you don't know what's causing you, if you don't know what's making you sick, how can you create an antidote to it? If you don't bother to find out that I'm trying to think, dairy that's making you have a rumbly tumbly, and you keep on eating dairy, you can't be surprised. But if you stop and say, wait a minute, I'm going to really pay attention to how I feel in this situation. Oh, I noticed after I eat cheese, I have a rumble. Yeah, and comedy catastrophizing. Ta-da! Welcome to the show. I'm going to go there. Nobody loves me. I'm a failure. I'm ugly. I'm too old and wrinkled and fat and poor and stupid. And nobody likes me and I'm alone and I'm going to die alone. All right. Okay, you got that out. That's okay. Now you know what's really going on inside of you, and it goes inside all of us except for freaking weirdos. Don't be a freaking weirdo. Have some feelings, notice it, throw them up onto a piece of paper. Say, really? Nobody loves me? I'm going to go eat worms? No, people love me. I love me. Yeah. Yeah. And Patty M, notice, until you talked through it, and this is why I show up to do this, because it is a process of it was all one big thing. Notice the jazz hands, the drama of all one big thing, all connected, not little pieces. Yes, the calm down and the imagine is going to help you. When you do that, what you notice is the big monolith that you think is all connected is all small things that you can disconnect from one another so that you can do it. Any big mountain is a bunch of rocks or sand. Any pyramid in Egypt is a bunch of bricks. Anything that looks big and solid can be broken down into smaller pieces, including atoms, right? Yeah. So Patty M, what I would notice about you, and I love that you brought us along on this kind of journey during today's YouTube Live, because in the comments, you can see you going from feeling overwhelmed and looking at it all big and blah. I get it. We all do it. But then you say, wait a minute. Let me calm down. Let me slow down. Even just doing that, all of a sudden shows you the cracks in the big monolith. That's why it can be so helpful to think about these things when you think that there's something big and scary you're afraid of. It's all made up of little things. Even the government is made up of a whole bunch of people, one by one by one by one by one. Even, I don't know. I have no idea what that sound was. Even everything that's big is made up of little stuff. We're all made out of little cells, right? I mean, look for the evidence. That, lampshade is made of threads and wire. And that book is made of words. And somebody's dishes are made of pieces of clay that may or may not be being broken in the kitchen right now. Anyhow, so I hope that helps. Not just Patty, but yay, Patty, but also for you sharing what you're going through, because you just shared something that is now helping not only just the people right now, who are live on this YouTube live now until another 13 minutes or so. Sure, I gotta quiet down my own situation. But also, when people tune in on this video, when it's recorded and it's up on the YouTube channel. Okay. So Patty M, it might be helpful for you to even just remember. And I'm all about literally note to self, insight, things I learned. Feeling overwhelmed? Go rewatch the YouTube live episode from Tuesday, December 16th, 2025. It made me feel better then. I bet it will make me feel better now. Okay. So I hope this is helping. Anybody else, and notice somebody just shared, and we have another 13 minutes here if you want. Anybody else want to share something that they're struggling with that we can go through the same process? It tracks. It is a copy and pastable process that you think, oh, that may work for her, but it's not going to work for me. I feel like that guy at the card table with the cardboard thing that says something, prove me wrong. Okay. I would love to actually, you know what? I'll be completely sincere with you. If what I am saying is wrong, I want to know that because I don't want to show up saying stuff that's wrong. But considering I have been sharing this same concept for the last number of years at this point, and I have yet to hear when it didn't work for somebody, then I'm feeling pretty good and confident about what I'm sharing with you is truly meant to help. But if your backseat driver, the drama queen back there is, yeah, that may work for Patty M, but it's not going to work for me. I'm different. Now, we're all different in our own wonderfully unique ways. Okay. But we're all similar. All right. Kenya Randall. Okay. I love it. How to organize an open pantry. The shelves are driving my daughter crazy. Okay. Kenya, I love this because this totally calls on my history as a visual merchandiser in retail. Okay. Yeah, Marietta. And let me just interrupt for a quick thing. Marietta, sadly, no, there isn't. Thank you for asking. And I wish I could say yes. She's asking, is there any chance of a declutter party today or tomorrow? Because I missed them yesterday and my heart surgery is Thursday. If not, it's totally okay. Yes. I wish I could say yes to you. But I have standing plans this afternoon. And then my surgery, God, we all sound like a bunch of old people, right? My surgery on my second eye is tomorrow. And then, so I'm totally out of the pocket tomorrow. And then Thursday, I'm leaving myself some time to, what do you call it? To recover. Yeah. What's that thing called? Recovering from surgery, right? But I will say this, we have declutter parties. You can have your own declutter party. You can create your own, pretend you're hanging out with people. If you're part of the Pen Pal Club, reach out to a fellow person and say, hey, do you want a TikTok and you want to do a Zoom together, or even just email and say when you're starting and stopping. I can't do it this week. We have 2 on Friday and 2 on Saturday. We will have a lot more in January as well. Okay, there we go. Penny Meyer says there is a declutter party. It's called YouTube Video. There you go. So let me help Kenya. Okay, so sorry. Thank you for asking, but no, I can't do it. But I'm glad that you were brave enough to ask. Okay. It's okay that the answer is no, and it's not no permanently. It's just not now. All right. The shelves are driving my daughter crazy. Now, the funny thing is, I don't think it's the shelves themselves. Let's get a little bit more specific here. The shelves themselves may not be the problem. It's probably the items on the shelves. And I would get curious, Kenya. Now, you may know this, or you may need to ask your daughter, what really is bugging you about these shelves? Now, one of the things I do not like about the open shelf concept is because you need to be, and this is totally Pier 1 101, fronting and facing all the time. Also, the fact that your brain needs to work overtime, because every time you look at something, it takes energy for your brain to like draw a little picture of it in your brain. Your eye sees it and your brain needs to kind of create that vision of it. Okay. So it can be physically and mentally exhausting to look at that stuff all the time. One thing that can make it better, though, okay, is the concept of chunking it down. All right. Okay. So notice you're already coming up with the answers yourself. It's not pleasant to look at. I don't feel pleasure looking at the way it is now. And one of the clues you have, and I'm going to always highlight when you have the answer in you, not enough uniformity. Now, notice where my hands are going like this. And I say, yeah, if it's random to look at, sometimes that is not pleasant. How could you create more uniformity? Now, this is where we would say back at Pier 1, like items together. Votive candles over here, brass candlesticks over here, papasan cushions over here. So it can be a number of things. Now, here's where things tend to get jammed up. And this is one of the reasons I do not like open cupboards, is because there's a difference in things looking good and also functioning well. Because, for example, when you want things to function well, you probably want similar food items to be gathered together. You know, all of your carbs, you know, you've got your rice, you've got your ramen, you've got your pasta, but each one of those may look different because of the way they are packaged, so they don't look good visually. Now, you may like different kinds of soup and they come in different cans. So I would say this, for as much as you can, put like items together. Okay, I had to buy a shelving unit due to lack of space in the kitchen. Okay, so here's the thing you might play with too. And this is where things get a little bit more kind of challenging mentally. But I would say this. Could there be, and I'm just riffing here, having not seen, could there be some things that would be more pleasant to look at that would be, and notice this, if you like uniformity, okay, and the things that you currently see are not uniform, okay, it serves as your pantry. Could there be other things you put on the open shelves that are a little bit more uniform that are currently being stored behind doors? Could you switch them out? Could you also perhaps instead of, you know, having open shelves, I know you just bought like a thing of a shelving unit, could you put a curtain over it? You know, like, for example, I know myself, I would feel a lot better. And this is why I am a fan of having stuff. Okay. No. Okay. That doesn't, perhaps. Okay. We like the perhaps. Okay. I like visual uniformity because it's like, it gives a place to rest. And my brain can interpret something as a chunk. There is, and I keep on picturing this for some reason, so I'll just share it with you. I'm looking at that open shelf, and all I see is like chunky soup or Campbell's soup cans. I'm like Andy Warhol. Okay, no to the curtain. That's cool. Again, an idea. It works. It doesn't work. No big deal. Okay. I would much rather see my pots and pans that are all silver colored with all of their handles facing in the similar direction with all their lids on top. I would so much rather pull those out of my cupboards that have doors and put those things on the external thing to get that uniformity, and then put the ununiform foodstuffs behind the doors. Okay? So notice, what do you have in the kitchen that is uniform? Could you then display, and that it is, okay, not deep enough for that. Okay. Notice these things, honestly, are a little bit more, but we're getting closer. Okay, they're not deep enough for that, but then it goes back to, okay, I spy with my little eye. This gets your curiosity engaged. Okay. What do I have in the kitchen already that is uniform looking and would fit on the depths of shelves that we have? You may never have asked yourself that question before. So the next time you're in that kitchen, look to see what comes up. Is there something that is currently, I would also literally go and remind myself what is, and notice my hands are saying like they're opening up the cupboards. I would open up the cupboards to see what is hidden. And is there something that is there that even is bigger, fewer bigger solid items than a whole bunch of little cans of soup and ramen packets and this type of thing, and those things will overwhelm and look unpleasant. Okay? I love this too. You know? There we go. You could have lots of matching containers. That's an idea. So that may be a way of doing that. Yeah. You know, maybe what you do, and this is what I do too. So in our bed, I'm going from the kitchen now to our bathroom, and Penny Myers is offering too. Does your daughter have any suggestions? Because notice, if she's the one that's bugged by it, she may know what would be more pleasant for her to look at in an open shelf than you do. So please get her engagement, and I love that you're trying to help her with this. But the other thing too that may be helpful is now my brain is going to our closet in the bathroom. That is like, even though it's behind a door, once you open that door, it was shelves with all this kind of random looking stuff because things can look random. What I ended up doing was what you said, was I got 6 opaque white kind of plastic bins, not clear, because the clear does not provide the uniformity. And then I was intentional about what I put in each one of these things. And I practiced learning where things belonged so that every time I looked at that shelving, I was not hit by an overwhelm of things that my brain needed to code. Okay. So, yes, I wouldn't say lots of matching containers. I would say just the right amount. I would also say that they should be easy for you to discover what's in them. So, probably no tops or things like that. Yeah. All right. So notice that if you're saying my kitchen is so small to me, and it may be, this is where creativity comes around. Okay. Now, the way I work with decluttering and things like that, and having not seen any pictures, I hope what at least we did right now, and I have to sign off momentarily, is got you out of overwhelm and stuck. And it got your brain moving in a curiosity, creative, problem solving mode. And I would write down some of these things. The neat thing is, Kenya, knowing that I have to sign off momentarily too, you can always go back to this recording of this TikTok, or excuse me, this YouTube live to remember what we talked about, because you may not have taken notes. That's the great thing about when the videos are, and I should have been downloading the TikTok live for this morning. Oh, well, I'll do it. Yeah. There we go. Marietta says shop for containers at the Dollar Tree or Five Below, not expensive stores, or IKEA. Yeah, you can get them there. What I would recommend first, though, honestly, before you even spend 1 penny on any container, regardless of where you get it, practice with what you already have at home. Practice with cardboard boxes. Now, they may not look pretty, but they are going to be kind of the beta test to see if this concept even works. So you know what size fits on your thing. So when you go to spend money, you see if those work or not. Okay. So start this idea of containers and just use the Amazon boxes you have that look like they fit better. So use what you have to see if it works. If it looks like it works, then invest in things like that. Okay. So I hope that helps. Yeah, it's time for me to sign off now. Yeah, and Penny Myers is offering. How old is your daughter? See, maybe even try shoe boxes that she decorates. It can help with sizes. Okay. So much fun to hang out with you guys. This was really fun. I want to sincerely thank you for making this YouTube live a lot more participatory and engaging. Okay. It felt a lot better to me than me just going blah, 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 blah. Right. And I love that. The shoebox thing, such a great idea. I didn't even think of that. So rock on. Okay. But yes, like items together and play around with it. All right. Thank you, everybody, for your best luck of tomorrow. I hope to find out within an hour of when I get my surgery. I am planning on, I am expecting to be feeling well enough to do a pop-up TikTok live on Thursday. I am not writing it down in case I don't feel good. I want to have the option to not do it and not disappoint anybody, but I'm just letting you know there may be one at some point on Thursday. But if not, I know that I'm going to feel better. I am planning on feeling better on Friday. And Friday, we've got a TikTok live and 2 declutter parties scheduled. Okay. So, all sorts of good stuff happening. Thank you for the good wishes. I need to figure out. There we go. I'm going to sign off. Have a rockin' day. And I'll see you with 2 good eyes the next time I see you. Okay. Bye bye.